is the goal of every human, of every brand on the planet, is you want to become top of mind when it matters. What's going on, everybody, and welcome on inside yet another edition of the Business Social Podcast. You know how I go on little rants from time to time, but I still have these conversations all the time, so I think it's good just to continue to have them. Where I think, here's a hot take that may ruffle a few job titles, but a lot of people have marketing in their title, and in reality, the role should say something like low funnel call to action manager. I have a lot of conversations where I get it. Performance marketing, we all love a good click, conversion, return on investment, screenshots. But I've talked about this a lot before too, where the miss is when that's the only way the decisions are made. And I still have meetings where, still have coffees, etc., where the decision maker, they nod their head in theory. They understand multi-touch in theory. They'll nod along. They know awareness and being additive to culture and subtle product placement and upper funnel awareness and consideration building. And showing up in a more human way, they get it. They can nod their head and understand that's ideal. Then they try it for a month or they run one campaign and it doesn't immediately drive bottom funnel results. And suddenly, it just didn't work. The data shows us that lower funnel drives actions with this particular product. Yeah, of course it did. And I just find this is, even business owners I talk to that don't work in our space, sports, entertainment, social, marketing, etc. But we have to understand that marketing is just one big math equation. If we can get 1 million people to see our brand, to become aware of our brand, then there's going to be a percentage of that 1 million that remember you, a percentage of that bucket that consider you, and a percentage of that bucket that eventually convert. And we know that's the funnel, and we know that's marketing 101, and we know all those things that we learned, whether it was in college or throughout our career. And just understand that we don't get to skip steps in marketing and expect a great outcome. And you definitely don't you're not allowed to give credit to the last click while ignoring everything that happened before that. And even notice, like this podcast in general, I'm not asking you to work with me. I'm not asking you to email me to see if we can, jam on a campaign together. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to add value to my community. I want to add perspective. I want to contribute something positive to your day so you can take this. And I know when I'm in the gym and I listen to Lewis Howes or Alex Hormozy or, the litany of different podcasts that I listen to, that I just love that. Either exactly, like hopefully at some point in this podcast, you're like, exactly. Or it's just something that you can think about, that you take with you, that you can bring up in a meeting, that you can send a Slack note to somebody. I just want to add value. That's where I can be helpful in our community. That makes me feel good. And that's just what we can do. And it's amazing what happens. It's amazing what happens as a brand, as a human. If you can add value in any relationship, if you can share perspective, if you can contribute something meaningful, do that enough times and something interesting starts to happen, you become top of mind, which is the goal of every human, of every brand on the planet, is you want to become top of mind when it matters. And if you're a good marketer, you get that. But we're still battling this in 2026, and I'm going to keep on screaming from the rooftops to teach others. Maybe they have to retire out. I always say this. Maybe that generation just has to retire out. I think if you grew up on social, I don't have to have this conversation at all, but it's on us as well to be consultants. A lot of you inside your brand have to educate people that don't work in social. Another article I read recently is great. Just because you post on Instagram doesn't mean you can give me your thoughts on how we should run our Instagram. And that's a big thing too, right? Where everybody at the company has an opinion on what the Instagram should look like. They don't understand the strategy. They don't know the algorithm. They don't understand anything that goes into content planning. Like, we should post this. Why don't we do more of this? I get that's frustrating. I get that you have to have those meetings. I get that we all have to take a breath and then educate and explain the funnel, explain authenticity, all those different things. But anyways, I hope this was valuable. I wanted to make sure I came to you, and it's already it's February where the 2026 is happening. But the talk on AI, and also just a reminder on, what you're doing in marketing matters. And we all have to continue to educate, and we still are, working down that funnel, and awareness matters, and having a human touch matters. And listen, my hot take as well is, I think media planning and these spots and dots, it's dying. I could see it die right now. It's not dead, but 5 to 10 years from now, I just don't think you can blast a market anymore. I think there's millions and millions of channels out there. I think community building, trust building is how you show up in these different corners of the internet. And that's how you build awareness. And that's how people will consider you. Just back in the day when you just dropped, 10, 20, $50 million on a linear ad campaign, whether it was, linear or radio or billboards, it's a different game. You got to invest in authenticity, culture, be additive, all those different things. So hope this is enjoyable. This has been yet another edition of the Business Social Podcast. My name is David Brickley. Talk to you next time.